program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. Good evening and a very warm welcome to First Issues. I'm Hanna. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Sustainable renewable energy, another buzzword that keeps making the rounds. What is it and why does it matter? In a time of scarce resources, global warming, and heightened efforts to live green and take care of our environment, it has become paramount to use not only every resource available, but to also use it sustainably, either in everyday life or business. One of these resources is the sun. In all its abundance, the sun is the most available natural resource that can be exploited without worry of it ever being depleted. Upon this realization, a local company took to embarking on a sustainable renewable energy sensitization drive by way of installing solar panels for corporate clients and residentials alike. According to Managing Director at Sustainable Energy Botswana, Hanna, the initiative has helped the clients save insurmountable amounts in electricity costs and has helped protect the environment, one less client needing as much coal-generated electricity at a time.
Robert, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We're here today to talk about your solar projects at Sustainable Energy Botswana. So tell us, why exactly solar? Why renewable energy?
Okay, so look, we're going through a massive change globally at the moment, as you probably appreciate, and your audience will appreciate. You know, we're leaving the fossil fuel era, moving into a clean technology issue, energy issue, and mainly driven by the cost of energy, secondly driven by the huge problem we have with climate change. And solar is the obvious solution, especially in Botswana where you have a lot of sun.
But installing solar panels is subjectively quite the expensive undertaking, is quite costly, especially for individuals. So how do you think in the long term that balances out? What makes it worthwhile?
I think you have to look at the total cost first of all and what's been happening globally. I mean, I bought my first PV module 20 years ago. I paid $100 per watt. Today I'm paying 25 cents per watt. Prices have plummeted. So solar is no longer a high cost option. That's a bit of a fallacy actually that we want to correct. Secondly, you have to look at the long-term investment. Like any investment you're making in your home, your business, where you want to fix your energy security and find a cheaper option, solar is the obvious solution. Most of our projects have a return on the investment, I would say, between 4 and 6 years. 6 years being a long output for us. More often than not, it's 4 years. So in 4 years, the investment you've made has repaid itself and has a lifespan of another 25. So you've got 25 years now of free energy with no capital cost. The cost has to be looked over a levelized cost of a period of, let's say, 2 or 3 years. On a water borehole, for instance, a pumping scenario for farmers, the return on investment can be under 12 months. The savings they make in not buying fuel has paid for the solar system. So it's just how you look at as an investment or a short-term capital expenditure.
But that's only one of the inconveniences or maybe challenges, if you will. And the other is, the efficiency of solar panels depends on how clear the sky is, right? So if it's cloudy, we're not going to have sun at all. So what solution is there for when we have prolonged unfavorable weather conditions?
First of all, Botswana is blessed with 320 days of clear blue sky. So those odd days in the year when you do have cloudy, you're still producing energy. Okay, as long as it's light, as long as it's daytime, you're producing energy. You're not producing as much though, you're absolutely right. You'll get a depreciation in the amount of energy you produce. All our systems, we have two types of systems really. We have grid connected systems. In other words, they work with the existing grid for a client, they have it in, or the genset or another form, battery storage or whatever other form of energy they have. And then we have off-grid scenarios. With an off-grid scenario where it's totally off the grid, there's no power lines, nothing, it's working. So safari, luxury safari camp for instance, then they have to have battery and thing. On the odd day, you plan. Our designs are built by data, so we collect a lot of data when we design systems. We don't just sell modules, we build power systems for our clients. And we look at the total consumption over the year, the weather, and all those factors in designing the system. So even on a cloudy day, we're still giving the client the energy they need to sustain their business or residential activity.
How easy or how difficult really has it been to convince people to move to solar? I mean, you did say at the beginning of our conversation that the whole world actually is in a state of transition. But in a country that has a negligible footprint as far as how much carbon emissions they put out, it can be quite, it may come off as unnecessary. So how have you convinced your clients that it is actually necessary for them to use this abundant energy source?
Yeah, well, it's a very good point actually. First thing to say, look, this transition is happening globally is absolutely significant. So last year the world spent about $1.8 trillion. I mean, just think about that number, $1.8 trillion on energy, new energy production. Over 50% of that, half that global spend was on solar. This shift is happening very quickly. I agree with you, in Botswana we've been a bit slow, even though we're one of the best countries in the world, out of I think top 5 countries in the world for potential solar production compared to other countries. So we've not been as quick. Main reasons I think are barriers have been misrepresentation about cost, poor installation, so there are a lot of, it's unregulated. But the key thing is getting projects built, and you know we are the largest solar developer in Botswana. We built more than 50% of the solar that was installed in this country last year with our partners. We didn't do it alone. And that is changing people's attitudes. And you can see just going around the city, more and more projects are happening, driven mainly by the commercial sector. Now the commercial sector is doing it for one key reason. Cost. Yeah. It's money. They see the benefits. They see the saving on their energy costs, even though we have one of the lowest energy costs in Africa.